Good morning, guys. I hope you're all doing well. I'm going to continue with the next excerpt of my first novel in my series of novels, which is set to be published here shortly. As Alan sat there, with the afternoon sun glistening on his caramel skin, he heard the children playing, some laughing uncontrollably in the distance, a few wailing and sobs from the few children who had fallen and scraped their fragile bodies. But mostly he heard glee. He heard happiness. This was a common thing for Alan. Every day of school, during his morning recess, he would curl up into a ball next to the unforgiving walls of his educational prison, contemplating things that none of his classmates could ever hope to understand. At least not for another 20 years. Of course, any child with an IQ of 157 would likely find it very difficult to fit in with the average lot. Alan was only 9 years old, yet had the intellectual capacities of an Einstein, and the social stigmas as well. It only made sense for him to keep his words to himself, at least as much as he could. He still had to at least try to navigate the social norms, or else not survive another few years before the torture would consume him. Or so he told himself. Despite having advanced him 3 grade levels, he still could not traverse the social mores of his classmates. What they found cutting edge, he found to be plebeian and outdated. "Don't worry, you'll figure this out," he would repeat to himself religiously, hoping that the repetition would make it one day become true, though he found himself consistently berating his classmates for not being able to answer the simplest of questions from their instructors. "How can you not know the answer to that question?" he said fervently to more than one of them. Some of the children would scowl at him as a scathing retort, but most would bow their heads in submission to their confusion. Alan could never see what it was that he was doing wrong. For all of his intelligence, he wished that he could. Alan looked up from his stoop, next to the cement prison. There was that girl again. Julie. Was another 9-year-old child, with long burgundy hair, blue eyes, fair skin, and a slight frame. He watched her carefully as she played on the jungle gym with her favored male classmates. He wished he could figure out what to do. He wished he could figure out how to get her to see. She'll never want to be my friend or girlfriend. I'm just a chubby weirdo. It seemed, in fact, that he was not kidding himself. Every time he would look at her, no matter how hard he tried to get her attention, she never seemed to notice him, her blue eyes always gazing at the other children with whom she was playing, her gay laughter always directed away from him. He was just a part of the shadow, despite the fact that everyone in his class knew who he was. He had attacked them all enough, whether unwittingly or not. The truth is, his attacks were never intentional. It was no surprise that she would not want to look at him. She was, after all, one of the popular children. This is to say, she was one of the average children who managed, in Alan's opinion, to have an above-average appearance. But Alan had a plan. The recess bell rang, and all the children filed back into their classrooms, organizing neatly into military-style lines on the asphalt just outside the main building. The organization lent to the malleability of the children's young minds, having no concept of how brainwashing this organization seemed to be. It was all they knew. Even Alan fell victim to naivete, having no idea that these regimen-like lines were more than just a means to neatly organize the children for accountability. These lines were designed as training to teach the children to take orders. Perhaps it was a blessing that Alan did not know the difference, because he would not be able to make the choice voluntarily. The children were culled by their instructors as they all walked single-filed back to their rooms, disciplined to remain quiet during the trek. It was approaching the end of the school day, and Alan was well aware of the routine that his classmates followed every day. The last 30 minutes of class were dedicated to individual reading and writing time, and this was Alan's opportunity. He pulled out a piece of paper from his desk and quickly scribbled a few words on it. That's this section of my story. I will continue tomorrow. Love you all. Peace.